So BTC is still floating around this 112K region, but is it time for a more substantial bounce now in the market after that complete obliteration yesterday? Guys, let's take a look at some of these altcoins. Obviously, we're going to talk about this ASTER. We've got tons happening here. Let's go. And remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. And today I actually brought James along. So even though this is a pre-record, James is hanging out here in the back. How did you feel? I mean, I felt like I was dealing with that $1.7 billion lickies all by myself. Did you enjoy that?
You know, actually, I didn't. I usually like high lickies, but that's too far for me. That's enough. Okay, we're done.
That was disgusting. I mean, I like good. A 500, a 600.
Yeah,
tells us there's action.
An 800's a big day, but 1.7. Okay, now my feelings are hurt.
No, guys, it was rough. It was rough. Like I had to do an emergency stream from vacation. It was so rough. Okay, so we're gonna get James back on now. We know Trump is talking. We know Joe Powell's also talking later. There's a lot of stuff happening. So let's jump in. Let's see where we are, and let's pick up hopefully from yesterday. Look at this ASTER. It's like completely outperforming. I'm talking about this one in detail. Is this the new hype, or is it getting pitched as the new hyperliquid? Is there attention now all over this ASTER? We are going to cover this one. AVAX doing nicely yesterday. I was in a long yesterday on AVAX. I have closed that long at this current resistance zone. Good news on it. Maybe it's going to go a little bit higher. And I'd say overall, we basically had our little reversal in these altcoins. I was looking for double bottoms yesterday. I was looking for higher lows of like 618s, things like that. And a lot of the alts actually delivered that for us, but we haven't had that little push that we are looking for. So hopefully we are now going to get that and maybe a little bit more action out of this market. So let's jump into BTC. What is the current picture? So yesterday, step one was after a big wick that you see, after a big sell-off that you see like that, generally they like to come and fill that wick and give us some kind of double bottom. So that came into play pretty nicely. Hopefully some of you guys got some of that action there out of BTC. Now, in terms of big supports that I'm watching today, 111,300 makes a lot of sense to me. You can see this is our 618. This is our order block coming into play as well. A little bit lower down, I've got 109.5 and also a great confluence zone. We've got a 786 here. We've got a nice order block as well, and we've got some horizontals in that area. So any meltdowns today from these current levels, I would say these are most likely long opportunities on BTC where you are going to look for some kind of bounce out of the market. Now, it might not be pretty on some of these altcoins, and we're going to have to tie in some of the dominance with that as this starts happening. Now, in front of us, what can we see happening in terms of upside for BTC? Well, 114K, this is starting to really look good now. Look at this VWAP from the highs. It's creeping lower. We're building a monster confluence zone now with the 50-day moving average as well at 114K. So this is a big one here. If we push into that zone, I would say a little bit of caution in that area, guys. That could be a big danger zone there for you. And then 114,700 is also another one. Look at this undercarriage here as well. So I'm not expecting much more than these types of levels. If we do get a little short-term push to the upside, if we break above that, then we start reassessing where we are. But right now, that's pretty much where I am in terms of BTC over the next day or so. So if we go any extremes lower or higher than these things, obviously we might need to reassess. But right now, you know, leaning towards some push to the upside here, maybe bang it into that trend for us, and then we see what happens after that. Now, let's get into some important markers here. The fear and greed index is actually only at 43. Now, obviously, if you're in only altcoins, you're absolutely shitting yourself. And I would assume if there is an altcoin index, James, I don't know, that thing must be at about 20 if there is such a thing as an alt index. But the fear and greed on BTC is sitting at 43 at the moment. So not that scared. We've seen monster reversals in the market when fear and greed is under 20, somewhere around those types of levels. But 43 right now is pretty manageable. In terms of the lickies, what we are seeing today, 345, it's pretty serious at 345 on its own. I mean, I know that 1.7 was ridiculous, but 345 tells us we've had a day of movement, and it was probably the situation that I was warning about yesterday. When you get that initial wick, you get that bounce, you always get that first bounce, and then the market sort of gets complacent, and then they start grinding you down, and you look for those double bottoms. But I think there were a lot of longs over there that suffered when they came back for those double bottoms, and I think that was the brunt of some of that second wave of pain there in the market. Now, welcome to September. So James, this is actually playing out. Hey, September. Let's get James up here. 23rd of September. We got 7 days left. So far, not looking good.
And you never know, though. We could get one last push into the end of the month, but we've had consistently for over a year now, every single month, the first week of the month is bad. So is there a chance we get a push here into the end before we get into that bad first week? Or are we just going straight through its actual September, 2 weeks of pain here coming?
The deeper we go now, in September, the higher the probability of upside for us in October. So if they come one more time, it's probably statistically it's going to look nice on paper, but I think from a Licky's point of view, it's not going to be good come end of October. So if anybody is confused as to where we are in the market right now, you're not alone. Current situation, stocks are rising like the economy is soaring. I love these. Oil prices falling like we're entering a recession. Gold is rising like the Fed is cutting rates into inflation. Bitcoin is falling like the Fed cuts are postponed. Home prices are rising like more rate cuts are coming. Treasury yields are rising like stagflation has arrived. How are you feeling?
Well, and it's insane. Everything yesterday was rocketing except crypto was total dog shit. It's like, how is this possible? Gold taking off like that makes sense. But then the stock market was going, everything but crypto.
So unfair. Why can't we have nice things?
Can we not just have crypto go? Let the rest of it dump. Just give us some fun for a little while.
So the new normal, and this is why I've been so scared of this S&P trying to short this thing. Buy low, sell all-time high is the theory. Now it's buy all-time high and sell all-time higher. This thing won't stop. So things that could maybe influence us today. We've had the PMI numbers come out. That seems relatively okay for now. We've got Trump talking, most likely, James, about this Palestinian situation, I guess. So a couple of global
it's in front
things.
of the UN, right? This isn't just some White House address, and I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. I was listening just before we started, though, and he actually was talking about the economy because it's just an orange folder here. And he was just saying everything's at all-time high, the markets are looking good, this, that, kind of whatever. But who knows? I'm sure it went on to, they started off, whoever the speaker was up front was talking about Palestine to begin with. And so then, I don't think it's much of a financial talk.
So yeah, let's see. He was talking some bullish things just now. We saw some reactions in the market. Then we've got Jerome Powell speaking in a couple of hours as well. So that's a possible market mover. All we can say is look out for the volatility. And we're stocking you guys up with these levels on these alts. And you are obviously going to be well prepared leading into any type of action here in the market. So S&P, you can see all-time highs. It won't stop. It keeps on grinding. I'm a little bit edgy with this thing, short or long. I'd just rather staying away. Gold, same story. I mean, I was very bleak. I had to shut down my gold short that was playing out actually very well. I was very happy with the situation. And now look at that monster reversal. I thought I was very smart all the way down here. I thought, here we go. I thought we were heading all the way down there. And I actually had to cut that after that bounce up. You can see gold still looking.
Is this thing going to 4K then, you think, at this point? We're so close.
Look, we've now got new support. So there'll be longs of 3,700. It's, the guys are going to use this and look for these pushes. So 4K, yeah, it's possible for me around the corner. MicroStrategy, I've added a little bit more. It's dropped into my bounce zone. So I've added a little bit more to MicroStrategy on BTCC. And basically my game plan here on MicroStrategy is if we close below yesterday's lows, I'm going to start trimming this thing a little bit. So 329.4. If we get a close below that today, I think that's going to be the sign. And I'm just going to start lowering the size of that position. This 200-day MA or the 200-day MA rejection, that could basically be the end of that move. And then are they going to take us back to these lower levels at 245? So again, we're going to have to see how crypto responds. If crypto remains bullish, we should see MicroStrategy be okay. If the market continues to fall over, we might see some trouble in MicroStrategy. So that is how I'm playing that one at the moment. And then in terms of Bitcoin on the 3-day, well, this was our must-hold zone that I spoke about yesterday. And so far, we are must-holding it. Okay, so hopefully this is now going to provide us with some kind of short-term bounce in the market. And you guys would have seen my tile that I dropped today was like, is there an inkling of some kind of reversal here in the market? Now, we know yesterday we saw the 1 hour and 2 hour reversals. Now, what I've done is I've taken a look at slightly higher time frames, and after some kind of settlement like this in the market, we can look at these oscillators on the 12 hour, the 8 hour, and you can see we are getting some form of signage here that the market is getting exhausted, or the sellers are potentially getting exhausted here on BTC, and maybe we're going to have some slight push to the upside and maybe a bit more sustainable on the 12 hour. Remember, those 1 hour and 2 hour, they often give us short-term indications, like super short-term moves. The 12 hour can tell us that, hang on, we might get a day or three push out of the markets if we do get a reversal like that. So just for example, the last time we got our reversal on the 12 hour, this period took us from the 12th of September till about the 18th of September. So it was 6 days, and then that reversal started playing out. So we might be faced with a situation here, a little bit more chop, and then maybe leading into this weekend, we get some kind of push up on BTC. Now, my only concern is on the daily, it's not close to a reset just yet. So it's a little bit of an edgy thing for me at the moment. You can see this daily is still pointing down, but again, a 12-hour reversal doesn't necessarily mean this daily has to be reset. The daily could also just chop around here while that 12-hour reverses and then drop a little bit lower. So in terms of shorter time frame, things like that, I am not expecting a new all-time high on Bitcoin just yet until we get these daily resets and things like that. But obviously in crypto, stranger things have happened, but this tells me, expecting net down after a shorter term push here in the market. Okay, so that has got that nicely covered here for us. Let's look at the lickies on the 24 hour, and you can see the bulls and the bears, nice tight range at the moment. Look at the upside here, 114k, 113.5, easy meet here for the market makers if they want to send it up into those types of regions. Look how beautifully it ties in to the VWAP, to the 50-day MA. This is extra confluence now to that zone. If we pump into that area, that's a no euphoria zone there to the upside, and then to the downside we got 111k and 111,800, and that also ties in relatively well here to the downside. You can see all the late longers, they're coming in for those double bottoms, they're getting quite aggressive in these types of areas over here. So again, another target for the market makers on the lower time frame. Let's take a look at how's your alt season, sir?
Well, I was going to say, do you happen to have that alt season index chart we were looking at last week? Okay.
Of course. Okay. It's my favorite document.
We talked about it last week.
Here it is. Okay, there. How do you enjoy your iPhone? There's your sponge.
Gotta love that sponge.
Happy alt season. How's your alt season going? There we go.
There it is.
Exactly as predicted. Okay, so
well, and we were joking about it, saying, okay, it started. We've got 4 or 5 days max, and it worked out. Unfortunately, we thought, oh, this time's different. Maybe, yeah, it's looking good, but sure enough.
Just remember the golden rule: the alt season, or the move on the alt, happens from the Bitcoin season all the way up. That is the alt move that you take advantage of. Anything above this is the cherry on top. It's the cream on top. It's the bonus points. But the real work is that push over there. And we've seen time and time again, guys getting rinsed in these types of areas. And again, this time, no different. No different this time. No different. Okay, now we've got conflicting views. How's this? Okay, so Nick says altcoin season is loaded spring. Okay, alt-perp open interest has been on a steady uptrend since June. He's talking about the next few months will be wild. Are you buying into this?
Doesn't feel like it. I see what he's got here in this chart, but yeah, I think I need to do some digging to see if any of that's because it sure as hell doesn't feel like it.
Maybe we need to do some digging because Ben Cowan, he's just telling us that dominance has hit the lows, and I
saw him gloating yesterday.
Yeah, and he's very subtle the way he drops it in here, and it's okay. If Bitcoin starts ripping and dominance pumps, we happy. That's totally fine. But if Bitcoin dominance starts pumping here and the market in Bitcoin is flat or falling over, that is where we're going to see alts printing new lows. It's going to be dirty, and it's going to be a rough couple of months. Okay, so it's not something we really want to see. We can try and wish it away as much as possible, but for me, I'm watching the shorter time frame things, and what I want to do is just be reactive in these zones because there are opportunities up and down if you play these dominance areas on slightly lower time frame. So in terms of what I was looking at yesterday, remember what we want: dominance falling over is good for altcoins. It's pushing them up, and all we need to do is be careful when we hit these reaction zones where you can get a possible bounce. And when we get those bounce zones, these are typically take profit or hedge short zones. So dominance dropping into 58.3, that is our support. So this is so far on track for what we wanted to see yesterday. And then I've got 58% as your next danger zone. So we could easily get another pump on these altcoins. This is most likely the VWAPs and things like that I'm going to show you on these alts, the local VWAPs on the lower time frame. And if we drop into that level, we're probably breaking through trends and we're getting a second push here in the market. So you can see it's clear as day what is going on here with this dominance chart. And remember, all these charts, they go into the Chart Hackers Discord for you guys directly after the show. You can find it all in there for you. Okay, so there's the game plan on dominance. Let's take a look at USD dominance quickly. You can see pretty flat from yesterday, but I am still looking for this drop into 4.4 to 4.3%. That would make a ton of sense to me if we do get this push here, and that will give us a short-term market move to the upside if we get that little dip. And that is obviously why I'm sitting in a couple of longs here at the moment. The 4-hour RSI heat map, again, showing off the big performers, PAXG. That is tracking gold for us. That thing is looking super bullish. As you know, gold's all-time highs. We got ASTER. It's absolutely cleaning up at the moment. Then there's this token HEMI. Don't know much about that, but this is also moving into some heavily overbought country. And our alts generally have moved off the oversold region. But because the move has been so small, like it's not a high confidence move just yet. We want to start breaking through some of these resistance zones on these alts to get a little bit more confidence in the move that is happening here. Now, in terms of ETH, Heisenberg is telling us 3,900 to 4,100 he is watching at the moment on the ETH situation. Okay, so quite a big level. And look, I did cover some of these yesterday, but in terms of what I wanted to see, well, here's our 4,100. And in terms of 24 hours later, we still haven't had our bounce. Okay, so it's a little bit edgy there for me on ETH at the moment. The daily is printing a new low on the oscillator. Slight concern here for me. You can see this daily is printing a new low, and that could tell us net downside here on ETH for a while. Now, we know the shine is obviously off ETH at the moment, and the ETH bears are back in the house. But in terms of the big levels for me on ETH, I would say 4,100. I agree with that Heisenberg level, 4.1. And you can look at this pivot level over here as well, 3,950. Okay, so 4.1 to 3,950 makes a fair amount of sense here. Depends on how big your leverage is, how like what you're looking at for your longs. If you are looking for a short-term bounce on ETH, but not expecting a monster move to the upside. And then again, yesterday I covered this 3,500 region. I still quite like this zone to be tapped at some point. Okay, and again, what does it look like? I would assume we get a little pre-bounce first, and then they come down. Again, I don't know how high they can send this thing, but maybe some short-term maneuvers here on ETH. Okay, now in terms of ETH, this is a fair representation of the general altcoins at the moment, and you can see what happened. We got our initial flush out, then they came back, they gave us a higher low here, took out some of the wick. It's a typical altcoin example that you can use. I'm going to bring you Sol, I'm going to show you Sui as well, Hyperliquid, things like that, and you can see they all had a very similar playbook. Now, in terms of what happens next for ETH, so I'm kind of leaning towards taking out some of these candles on these altcoins. And look, again, I don't know how high they can move, but in terms of how we can be reactive in these zones, 4,400 is a monster rejection zone. 4,490 is another monster rejection zone here for ETH. This is a no euphoria zone. You are not allowed to get euphoric when you push into those types of areas. The ride will be amazing. Like the market will be lighting up. We'll be making a little bit of money here in these longs. Things will be looking good. But at 4,400, danger zone 1, 4,480, 4,490, danger zone number 2. Okay, so just look out for those areas. And then ETH, in terms of lower time frame support that you can use right now, you've got your wick low, 4,050. And then anyone who wants to trade some kind of squeeze or some kind of pop in the market, the principle is generally going to be the same for these altcoins. You can literally map out the ones you are watching, the ones you are tracking. You want to see these little rising trends squeezing into these horizontals, and you want to play these pops to the upside. Okay, so if these rising trends start failing on the alts, then you're probably coming back down to test these lows. So just map these out on your altcoins, and what you can do in terms of support and stop losses and things like that, if you want to speculate on some of these guys, is you can use like yesterday's low. That's generally your good starting point. So yesterday's low, or yesterday's pullback low, for example, on ETH, is 4,113. So that could be your first exit plan. If you start closing below that level, you can look to start cutting there. Alternatively, you can cut under the monster sell-off lows. Okay, that can be your next backup zone there. And what I suggest here, anybody Anybody trading in these conditions now, definitely dial down the size, lower the leverage, and just take it easy. Remember, the momentum will come back, and then the easy trading does appear later on. The worst thing you can do for yourself now is start forcing trades that are quite big size when you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable and the market doesn't go your way. So you're going to see some of the trades I'm in, my sizing is much smaller here at the moment, and just trying to build some momentum and see where things take us. If we get momentum, we can always start ramping that stuff up. But really, guys, just be careful. Don't revenge trade here. Just play it safe for now. Okay, so typical example here for you guys on any altcoin. We'll cover them on Sol and Sui as well. But looking for these squeezy things. If they fail, you guys know the story. Okay, so in Chart Hackers, I did drop a late update here today. Remember, I am on vacation, and this is a pre-recorded show. I'm sure you guys have figured that out. And this is getting recorded about 30-40 minutes before it gets aired live for you guys. So it's pretty accurate. It's pretty current as to where we are at the moment. So just forgive me with these pre-records, guys. And, I'll keep the updates coming. And I was saying that the boat party I was on yesterday got the best of me. Okay, so a little bit of a late arrival here today. But I've seen things like ASTER really outperforming. So let's just take a look here. So this ASTER, it's just one of these things. It just keeps on grinding, and I'm almost tempted to actually close some of it here. And it's one of my best performers. We're 2,900 up on quite a small position. And then in terms of the other setups, I've closed that AVAX that I was sitting in yesterday, and I'm still running these others that I opened up yesterday. So I've got Sui, Sol, Peppy, Hype, and Pump. And got a feeling like ASTER and this Avantis and whatever, they're taking the shine out of Hyperliquid, and they're taking the shine out of Pump, because everybody is chasing the new shiny things. And I think if we don't get a move pretty soon on Pump or Hype, I'm going to start looking to cut some of these positions while everybody is hunting the new toys that are out there. Okay, so Avantis doing its thing, but the rest of the, other than AVAX, was a nice pumper for me. I'm kind of just parked in these things for now, and let's see what we can get. Out of the market. Now, I'm not the only one thinking we are going to get some kind of reversal here. We've got Joe McCann saying 4-hour RSI on Sol looking like it could bounce. You can see his one is oversold here at the 20 level that we're looking at, and that is typically an area where you get some kind of snapback bounce, because people get overly bearish in these zones and they start shorting too much, and then you get these little squeezes to the upside. So I am kind of just waiting patiently in these positions, and once there is momentum, I'm going to ramp it up a little bit. But in terms of Sol levels, no real changes to yesterday. Look at this, 214 makes a lot of sense. We double dipped that. Okay, so that was our zone yesterday for the double bottom. 214 makes a lot of sense to me. I would say, if anything, look for a wick onto the 50-day MA, which is now creeping up. That's 205.6 at the moment. So anywhere in that area could be a nice long on Sol. And then lower down, we've got this 190, 193 down to about 186 makes a lot of sense here for zone number 2 on the higher time frame chart for Sol. And you can see, very similar to Bitcoin, we are starting to bottom out on this 12-hour, and obviously, risk reward for shorting starts diminishing here as you start getting these reversal signs on the oscillator. Okay, so just look out for that on Sol. Let's look at the lower time frame quickly. And you can see, if we compare Sol to a couple of other alts, Sol is actually an underperformer in terms of its response in the last 24 hours or so. So we did get our double bottom, but you'll note a lot of these other alts have also pushed higher. AVAX, for example, was a great performer. Now, on the lower time frame, what are our upside targets? Again, I'm not trying to get greedy on Sol. For me, it's 228 to 233. I'll be very happy if we get a push into those types of levels. That will be an amazing exit plan here. For Sol, you can see that trend is in the way. And once we break through these levels, then we can always reassess and start looking for fresh setups and things like that. But right now, for me, that looks like the extreme upside there for Sol, and these are possibly good head short zones as well. You'll probably find if Sol pumps into 228, 233, somewhere in that region, your dominance is sitting on that danger zone looking for a bounce. Your USDT dominance as well, probably looking for a bounce as well in those areas. Okay, so just exercise caution to the upside, guys. You can see it's clear. Okay, these trends and this other confluence here, the VWAP, also offers quite big resistance for these altcoins. Oscillator, not much to report on the 1 hour at the moment. And then in terms of lower time frame reaction areas, what can you use? I would say today 216 makes sense. down to 213, okay, 216 to 213 on this lower time frame. You can see we've got some kind of trend situation here, so maybe we can drop and then just pop that trend and then get a little bit of momentum out of that. If we do drop lower, this actually looks pretty good on the lower time frame. 205 looks interesting on this 1 hour chart, so might be worth a little stink bid there. DGen play on Sol 205, 50-day MA, VWAP 0.5 fib could give you something. If there's a quick sell-off here in the market, you might get a few percent bounce out of this thing. They might just drop it in here. You could get a little bounce into resistance there on Sol. Okay, so look out for that one. That can be a nice backup plan if Sol doesn't pump into this region here to the upside. Now, James, where are you on this ASTER? Have you been watching this ASTER thing? It's been quite a show.
I've just been watching that. That's what everyone's talking about. That's where the attention is. It just keeps going up and whatever else, but can't say I haven't tried trading it.
So this thing reminds me exactly of bonk versus pump and the hype situation with the volumes and things like that. Now
I did see on hype, there's some huge whales that have been dumping their hype, and it looks like this is just this rotation thing. They're going from all of them are going after these DEX tokens, and they're just moving from one to the next. Arthur Hayes, he dumped 5 or 6 million in this to buy a car or something. The car was so expensive, I've never even heard of it before. But I saw a tweet, and Becker was like, "Do it, man! Screw these guys! Dump the stuff. You need to buy what you need to buy." But it looks like just rotation from one to the next, because there's this ASTER, there's the AVNT, there's all these DEX tokens coming out, and
so it surpasses hype in 24-hour DEX volume for 3 days in a row. Now we saw this with another, was it another BNB token? There was something going on recently where we were suspicious about the volumes there, and it feels like it wasn't legitimate volumes. Okay, and this guy Loris, I don't know who this is, but he says ASTER is faking 90% of its volume. And if we look at the bonk versus pump situation, it
just
might
like
be the same thing. It's the same thing, right? So yeah, guys, something to watch. But again, nothing wrong with riding a wave up. If they're going to pump this thing up, like, go for the ride, like, no problem there. Just understand the dynamics here behind this, because for me, as somebody who watches Hyperliquid a lot, like, Hyperliquid is genuinely getting used by traders and it's making a ton of money. We don't know the full story yet on ASTER, other than the fact that obviously they're trying to copy the Hyperliquid situation. And things are definitely getting interesting over there. Now, in terms of ASTER, it's one of my best performers. I'm actually running 2 ASTER trades at the moment. In fact, you know what? I'm actually going to bank one of these things because, let's actually close this one there. It's 3,000.
I mean, honestly, there's been very few tokens that are doing this well. And this is how things are working at the moment. You might as well take advantage. Find the pumpers, get into them, take advantage while you can. Keep in mind it's going to end at some point, right? Just like hype is dying down a little bit here, but ride the wave while you can and just rotate with the whales. There's no use trying to 100%. Fight it or pray that your garbage coin that you've been holding for 3 years is going to pump. Go with what's moving.
Guys, just chase the new shiny objects. I know it can be counterintuitive sometimes, but here's something that's clearly outperforming. Okay, and your best way that you can do this is just play our bullish game. You track your VWAP from a local low and you start locking in a couple of your fibs, and anytime you get a little sharp dip in these things, you can go for it in these zones until they fail. Okay, so look for these types of moves. If you're chasing these things, you know, they're super volatile. So if you're jumping in without precision entries, you can do what I've done a couple of times here, where you just start with a very small position. So if you're starting normal size position, say $100, and you want to start just speculating on something, you can go in like $20 size, for example, see where it takes you. If there is a dip, then you start adding. If it carries on pumping, then you start adding as well. Okay, so don't put yourself under pressure. You can see this thing can easily dip 13% and still be super bullish here in the market. So if you ape in 20x leverage and this thing dumps 13%, you're going to get absolutely rinsed here, and it could still pump to the upside. Okay, so you can see I've taken some profit on one of these ASTER trades. I am running a second one here, and you know, looking just to see if we can capitalize on this while everybody is in love with it. Okay, so we had a nice reversal yesterday, second little pump, and in terms of good support, okay, we've got 1.82 that you guys can track. That just makes like great sense here. Nice previous resistance, looking to turn that into support. So 1.82 you guys can use. And then if you want to get a little bit more degen, you can obviously bang out your 236. So let's pull that one out. And it's look, on super bullish conditions, it is relatively reliable, but I wouldn't bet the house on a 236. So 1.9, call it 1.97. Okay, use 1.97 zone number 1. So you might get something here. Alternatively, 1.82 if you want to keep this thing rolling here to the upside. Okay, so just be super careful with how you play this. You can see I'm playing small size on these things because the downside is so big, and we know everybody is trying to long the living daylights out of this thing, and it's easy to flush it for the market makers. They can clean up and they can keep this thing nice and bullish. So just be safe. And my second trade is actually running here on 𝗵𝗆, and there was something that I announced actually last week. We got 0G. We're doing a specific airdrop if you guys were signed up to my 𝗵𝗆 or my Bybit link that is in the show description here for you guys. So I'm going to select 10 lucky winners here for this 0G airdrop, which it's now launched. Okay, and this thing is actually 2x in value here so far. Okay, so come tomorrow, let's say tomorrow lunchtime for me is going to be the cutoff date, and then I'm going to select 10 lucky winners, and I'm going to literally airdrop them those tokens. And I think the value is now about $5,000. So you guys are going to get $500 each out of this thing. If you want to have a crack at this thing, go into the show description and you can sign up there to 𝗵𝗆 or Bybit. Okay, so there are the links, including everything for chart hackers is there for you. My accelerator course is there for you guys, and even token 49 guys. I actually, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to be at token 49, and there's a couple of events happening, and obviously we've got a Banter event. So people in chart hackers, you are going to be invited to that Banter event. So if you're in the chart hackers Discord, you will get that invoice from you will get the invite from me and the team. And then there's a couple of other things going down here for token 49. So you can grab your ticket here at the top of the list. Just click on more in the show description. And then in terms of what's happening, the 𝗵𝗆 event is there. What you can do is go and register for the 𝗵𝗆 event. I'll be there. This is on October the 2nd. Okay, so 𝗵𝗆 is hosting an event at token 49. You will see me and some of the Banter guys there. We'll be locked in, and then myself and 𝗕𝗵𝗄 are racing go-karts on the 30th of September. So what you guys can do is, if you want to try, if you're in the area, come and sign up and just select Team Banter, and make sure you are joining the Banter side there. And we're going to be racing some go-karts here with Ledger at token 49. So I'm looking forward to that. And 𝗕𝗵𝗄 is quite a good driver. We raced go-karts in Dubai about a year ago, and quite a good driver. I'm looking forward to taking him on again and see if I can maybe get one over him there. Okay, so there's your 0G. And you can see this thing's trading at 5.34 at the moment. Okay, so there's an airdrop coming for you guys in terms of that. Now, let's see what else is going on here with ASTER. So this is the thing, James. CZ, okay, he's throwing eggs on this ASTER. Look at this, what they dropped here. And I think he was using this hyperliquid sign as his hairline at one point. But basically, they've now listed hype, and he said you can now short it or long at 300x on ASTER. Okay, so they're definitely playing a couple of games here with hyperliquid, and you can see the guys are losing interest in hype. Look at this monster sell-off, and when you get things like guys like Arthur Hayes selling off hype and stuff like that, we got to just be aware, because these guys are obviously whales. They're holding big positions, and even though hyperliquid is still making money, it is something we need to watch, especially if you are in leveraged positions at the moment. So you can see we are actually losing that trend, and we are losing the 50-day MA currently. Okay, so in terms of support that you can use for hype, well, yesterday they put us under pressure here. Look at that. They dropped it onto this VWAP 45.3, and they hit us at our next support is 44.65 that you guys can watch. Okay, so 8 hour, we are getting reversal signs on hype. I do believe this thing is okay in terms of fundamentals and making money and things like that. So for me, I'm trying to hang on to this position. Let's see if we can get that reversal. You can see on the 4 hour, they are trying to reverse it here at the moment, but you can see some big swings on this hype, and look at all this divergence playing out and things like that. So the bulls are trying to fight back. It's just a matter of, these guys must stop selling this thing so that we can pump it back up. Okay, so I'm holding on to hype. 47.5 and 44.65 look like the main zones for now that you can play with. And again, look, guys, we know shiny new things, ASTER, AVNT, those things are happening at the moment. And just be patient on these guys. Pump might be another one taking a little bit of strain at the moment. You can see Pump is in a clear downtrend. Are they going to still show us that pump is making money? Well, if they are, I'm looking for a bounce roundabout here at 55. I don't really want to see pump go lower than this 55. I'm going to start cutting my pump positions if we start losing this 53.6 level on pump. So I'm looking for consolidation here and some kind of bounce to the upside, but I'm not going to be married to this thing. If they're going to start dropping pump, there's a possibility that we start visiting these types of levels lower down. We're talking 50, we're talking 44. These are not going to be pleasant if you're sitting in leverage positions. So be ready for buyers in those types of areas. If they drop it lower down, 50 and 44, be ready there. These are nice reaction zones. And I'm going to start cutting if we start losing this 535 region. It makes sense. Okay, so I'm sitting in these positions, but don't want to be married to them, guys. Don't overcommit to these things. If they are going to dump this market, it can get ugly pretty quickly again. Okay, so just be safe there. AVAX, guys, that was one of the nice pumpers today. And James, I guess this is the news. AgriForce Growing Systems to rename as AVAX 1 and plans to raise $550 million. What's the story here?
Yes, another one of these AVAX, because there was news last week, I think, that there was a company that was opening an AVAX treasury. And now this is doing the AVAX treasury and the stock involved. That, yeah, it's been, because, yeah, that chart's been surprisingly bullish, where AVAX for the longest time wasn't doing a whole lot. And yeah, it's been one of the best performers.
Look, so yesterday, nice bounce, caught the bounce. Okay, this is kind of the dream scenario that we were looking at on all of these altcoins, but like they've only selected a few that are outperforming. So AVAX actually went beyond where I wanted to see it go, and I've closed my long, and now I'm feeling a little bit got a little bit of FOMO here, and we might get a little AVAX breakout here at the moment. So if you want to play this AVAX breakout, guys, I know this is a pre-record, so we're a couple of minutes behind when you see this thing, but the game plan is always the same on these breakouts, especially these horizontal breakouts. What you can use is the breakout candle, the low of the breakout candle, 34, or alternatively you can use 34.7 as some degen breakout exit zones. Okay, so if you want to trade a breakout, that's typically how I would go about it in terms of cutting your position if you are wrong. 35, 34.7, those are generally the safest, and then obviously the bigger one is going to be around 33.8. So if you start closing under these types of levels, that's where you cut it. But in terms of playing a breakout, like this is a classic possible breakout situation. So the minute you see AVAX sticking its head through the upside here, then you can start nibbling at this thing, and then you can use these exit zones here if we start getting a little bit more weakness in the market. Now, in terms of some targets for AVAX, if it is going to keep on running, what we can do is just try and identify just a couple of regions here where they could possibly send this. And you can see we've got a massive trend here to the upside on AVAX. And let's see if we can tie this in with a little bit of fibbage and some other type of confluence here. Let's just bang out our 618. Okay, there you go. Okay, so 40 looks like a reasonable upside target here for AVAX. If this momentum keeps going, 40 looks like a playbook there. And then you've got your degen exit zones on those lower levels that I have given you there on AVAX. Let's tap into SUI quickly. So no changes from yesterday. I was looking for this little dip, this little pullback. They dropped it again for us, gave us the higher low. And now we're looking for this push back to the upside. So SUI 3.27 is going to be your existing support that you can use. And you can see this looks exactly like Sol, looks exactly like some of these others. And we kind of just chopping around. We got our little pullback yesterday, the wick fill. If we do pop to the upside, 3.5 danger, 3.59 danger zones. Okay, these are rejection zones for me. If we hit these areas, that is most likely where the market says no thank you and sends us down. Okay, so I'm cautiously in these long positions, still holding them, looking for this mini pop into these types of areas. Let's see if they are going to give it to us on some of these altcoins. Then we saw Link as well doing its thing, and that was actually one of the better recovery plays after 800,000 chain Link got bought by whales. Okay, in the recent dip according to LE charts, and Link is now cruising higher. So anybody using Link or anybody trading this one at the moment, what you can do is use your wick low from earlier, and you can see your upside levels, your upside targets pretty clear. 22.3 makes a lot of sense to me, and 23.6 makes a ton of sense. Look at this guy, 50-day MA, horizontal, 618, trend in the zone. So 23.6 is a big rejection zone. That's a monster danger zone there for me on Link. Be super careful up there to the upside. Now, there was something I spoke about briefly yesterday, and Bitfunded, and a lot of the time, like if you guys get smashed in the market and you want to try something new, try some prop trading. Okay, Bitfunded is there, and we got a team in the Chart Hackers Discord that are running some Bitfunded plays for you guys. And Bitfunded is essentially prop trading, so you're trading with other people's money. But how do you get other people's money? You got to do a demo account. So you buy a demo account, and then they give you some a demo account to play with. You got to get 8% phase 1, 5% phase 2. If you pass those, then they give you real money to trade with. Okay, so there are possibilities out there with Bitfunded. These are 2 funded accounts that I've got at the moment that I've been running, and our team in the Chart Hackers are obviously taking you guys through this. And I actually forgot to mention yesterday, anybody that completes the accelerator school, okay, you can see my accelerator school over here, is going to get a Bitfunded challenge. So all you need to do is go and do the accelerator school. If you're feeling like you missed a few tricks in the last few days, maybe you feel like you got liquidated and maybe you could have avoided it if you made a few less mistakes and things like that, maybe you want to look at the accelerator course. It covers the TA that I do, and guys, I speak fast and I keep my stuff relatively simple. And the accelerator course is literally just that for you. It's not difficult to understand concepts that I've put together for you guys in that accelerator school. So go give it a try, and you will get a Bitfunded as well sent to you. Okay, so give it a try. You can practice the skills you learn in the accelerator course on your free Bitfunded that they are going to send you. So just go into the show description, click on more. It is all there for you guys. Okay, let's talk Avantis as well. So James, this is another one of these deck situations, I guess, and this is the shiny new object also outperforming, and this was one of the bots that I made a couple of days ago, and this thing absolutely exploded. Now the nice thing about these bots, or not the nice thing I suppose, but the nice thing, or the saving grace in these bots, is that they start out very low leverage. So when we had that wipeout in the market the other day, these bots actually survived, bar like my super bot that didn't do very nicely. That thing got absolutely smashed. But some of these others, they're still grinding on. So I've used the opportunity to add to a couple of these things. I've added to the investment here. I've added to my Sonic bot as well. Aventus, I've actually taken some profits, and I've added to Aero, and you can see they're starting to recover slowly now. Now, obviously, I'm relying on some kind of market bounce here to get us out of the woods here. But you can see these things are actively trading here. They're printing good profits. They're doing what they need to do. Okay, so remember, these bots are best to start activating when the days are red. You don't want to start these bots on green days when everyone's feeling super bullish, because then you stand the risk of a drop in the market. Okay, so if you were contemplating doing some of these bots red days like today, or after a big sell-off, probably a good time to start these things, because essentially you're going to get better entries than some of these entries that I have on these current bots. Okay, so if you want to play the bot game, again, everything is in the show description here for you guys. Just go under the link and click on more. You're going to find that thing. Now, in terms of this Avantis, yes, sir.
Just got a message from Mark in the Discord there, @Nuff&I, and he's just keeping me updated on what Trump's talking about. Apparently, he's speaking about tariffs and all this stuff, and the charts are falling all of a sudden. He just gave me a quick alert. Thought I'd share that. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got our levels. Okay, we know what we need to do, and I just want to give you guys a little Avantis level here. You can see a little bit of a degen play here for you guys. So we're just going to drop in. One of our degen setups on this thing. Let's see if we can pick up some kind of bounce zone for you guys on this thing, and maybe we can get a continuation play on this guy. There's a nice little order block here. Let's actually go into lower time frame. Okay, so look, the big one for me at the moment is this 1.95 with your order block just below. I just want to see where our VWAP is from these lows. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so guys, possible scalp play. If this video goes live, and you'll see it, remember, we're about 30 minutes behind on this video. Okay, so if you find that Avantis is sitting at 2.06 down to 2.015, might be worth a sneaky look here. If you drop into that zone, might be worth a look for some kind of continuation bounce. You can see you've got a nice trend here to the upside as well. So 2.06 down to 2.0, even 2.02, somewhere in that zone. Let's see if it's holding that area by the time you're watching this clip. Maybe you're going to get a scalpy. Other than that, 1.95 into 1.88. Okay, 1.95 into 1.88 looks like your next backup zone for this AVNT. Okay, now guys, we're going to update a couple of other charts in the Chart Hackers Discord, and normal shows are going to continue. Well, hopefully towards the end of the week, we'll be able to sort out non-pre-records for you guys. So thanks for bearing with me at the moment, and I'll keep the hackers updated tomorrow morning as well with where we are in the market, what's happening in there. Okay, James, thank you, sir. Anything you would like to say?
Good luck, everyone. Going to be another fun day today. Couple hours. We got JPow. Actually, it's probably just an hour and 20 minutes, I think. So hold on to your hats.
Oh, okay. Guys, good luck out there. It's been a filthy couple of days. Be safe. Smaller positions, lower leverage. Just be safe for now. Momentum comes back, and then we have fun again. Okay. See you guys later.